but it was not a Cody classic, but it was.
What's up, commentator? And tonight I'm playing Happy Color. This is coloring just made very, very simple.
Bad shoulder and snaps it.
I hope you all enjoy. Jim Cornette in the background. I'm watching Scarface. And I might as well channel my inner Bob Ross.
Has a start and every match has an afterburn. And immediately, now jump back on get more heat.
So
the horrible fake play punch raining down upon Cody's head and arm, and
I have already started this.
They act like they're in the middle of a group and then nobody's going to see this. They're just doing meaningless motions, thinking it'll get lost in this chaos, but they're on television. They're the only people doing anything. You can't get away with doing shit that looks like that. So anyway, he's doing that. Cody's covering up. Arn comes in and does nothing. And it buries him.
Simple.
Because as he comes in, it just like stop repeating
well tonight.
Shut up, friend. Then here comes Dustin and his son, and they make the save. Arn is saying, I'm not saying he should have taken a bunch of bumps. Shouldn't he be, since he's closest, shouldn't he be the first one in there? Shouldn't he go over and grab the Penthouse by the mask from behind and start pulling him off? Shouldn't Penthouse not then spin around and grab Arn? But there's Dustin.
The numbers.
It would have made it look like I'm trying to do something instead of being scared to approach this fucking guy that he's twice size of. That's just what I see. And then here comes QT Marshall, who's late to the save and late to party, and all going, where were you? And he's like, he was obviously just not fucking interested. So they're already telegraphing that there's problems with QT, what he did last week on the interview. Now he's been telling us that this is going to happen rather than letting us wonder. Couldn't QT come out with a towel wrapped around him and shampoo in his hair and flip-flop something like he's a shower? Shit. Wasn't my fault. I didn't know this was going to happen. He just walks out. Shit, something's going on. So of course he's going to turn on.
But no one cares. I mean, that's the other thing.
Nobody cares.
Cody is an AEW star. And for some reason, he wanted to have this giant nightmare family.
Conglomerate.
Because there are all people in this, including Billy Gunn and his kids, who are always at ringside and then just randomly jumped into the ring to help out Cody against.
Why didn't they? If they were going to do that, why didn't they care for it? Did fucking 20 feet away.
But here's the thing. Although they really haven't been doing anything with him that we've seen on Dynamite in a while. I don't know what he does on the YouTube shows. You can't tell me that there's anyone who cares about anything going on with the Nightmare family or anything, including this turn for QT Marshall, a guy that no one knew who he was. All of a sudden he was a part of Cody's little group. He never really got over it. He never got reaction. I'm not about that, but I'm just saying, why should anyone care about this? What's the point of this?
And because more people have to turn, we've only had like 16 turns in the last 3 weeks.
Sometimes you will have to zoom in to see the numbers. I honestly did not know you could do that.
Basically, to dive in there and make sure you're alive because they love you. Whatever. Things considered, though, I thought it was one of the better. I enjoyed this more than most of the Pentagon Jr. matches I've seen.
Well, yes. Yes. His name is not Pentagon Jr., it's El Zero Mito Benito. I don't fucking know. That's another thing. Why did he change his name to something no American can pronounce?
Because apparently the name Pentagon Jr. is owned by, if it's not AAA, it's maybe Underground phones. He can't use that name anymore.
Does that mean he needs to name to the goddamn biggest culture in the history of modern wrestling?
I think it's stupid, but apparently that's exactly what they did.
All right, Bar Brady was back with this. Is it too early in the clip to say? Oh, we're back here. Trying to do a promo again where they have badass attitude, and then Don Callis comes in. Tried to get him over verbally, which is a lost cause, but Callis' promo was good. It's just, it's the Bucks, and it just seems like everybody that's involved with them has their tongue in their cheek, and nobody really means any of this. And why would he's laughing about their father's injury while he's 2 feet from them with no backup, and they just allow him to come in and browbeat him like that? If I was going to play the babyface, I had the Midnight Express behind me. So at least there was some element of, we won't snatch this guy right off.
They seem surprised he didn't have the black eye that they apparently gave him, 2.5 months ago? Like, what about the eye? That was a while ago, even if he wasn't faking it. That was a long time ago, Bucky.
But anyway, that was that. I know the highlight. I just
An
realized
ad
like
option will pop up for
Because of the
just
next
2
match.
hints.
Jane Cargill against Danny Jordan, and Danny was a female Danny, I guess with an I. Jade, her too. She was a female, we think. This was the smartest thing they did all night. 3 moves, 1, 2, 3. They didn't. It's like the difference in Paul Heyman booking and Tony Khan booking. Paul Heyman booking show only the strengths and cover up all the weaknesses. Tony Khan let everybody do everything they can until they eventually bury themselves. But in this, they did it right. She fucking takes over on the girl, boom, 1 move, 2 move, boom, 3 moves is the finish, 1, 2, 3. That's how they could have got half this talent roster over at the start. If we mentioned their backwards booking where they started guys out having main event matches telling people they were stars, and then a year later they start giving them squash matches and wins so that they can actually show them that they're stars. This, at least they're doing this one from the start to finish instead of backwards. Did you like Jade's work?
Jade, I don't know why you insist on Jade, but I thought it was done really well. It looked like she killed that girl on the German suplex. I do think she has a little bit of a Lex Luger problem. You know how Luger used to always play with his penis in the middle of matches? She can't stop
She's
playing
got
with
that
her hair.
problem?
No, she can't stop playing with her hair. If you watch it, she keeps having to adjust her hair, play with her hair.
And play with hair and do the move, play with hair. Well, she's green, and that's her go-to thing. But she did fine here because it was laid out and it was 3 things.
And she looks like she looks like a star, so I'm still high on Jade. I wish they would give her more promo time because I can't get enough of that.
Well, that's when the Heyman style booking will stop and the Khan style booking will take over when they give her more promos. Let everybody do everything until they hang.
For 25.
Speaking of promos, though, again, FTR, Wardlow, and Spears
Pretty boring.
all together in the lane, whether they're standing there in the ring. That looks like a fucking heel group. That looks like a top guy group. They're all young, they're all dressed up. Spears didn't even look bad. Did he shave something or change something again? He did something different, but he's the designated lead, but even he looked upgraded here. The inner circle, people wanted to act like they were the second coming of the Horsemen or whatever, but while you had and MJF, you also had, I'm sorry, Santana and Ortiz. They didn't look, the group didn't look like a cohesive unit. With Hager and Jericho and MJF and Santana and Ortiz, everybody's off on a different planet somewhere. These guys look like you could buy them as a group that hangs out together, do they not?
I think so. I'm not crazy about Spears being in it, but otherwise...
Somebody's got to drop the balls.
Yeah, but just look-wise, too. The blonde mohawk. He's the only one who didn't have a tan.
But anyway, Tully's on TV for what, a year, and he finally gets the space and opportunity to beat Tully. He had something to talk about and a little time to talk about it. And then MJF took over and killed him. He was back to his old MJF. He was trying to erase the stain of all the comedy stuff he's been doing the last 6 months. Of course, it was the old, he channeled a little Ole Anderson after the Dusty turn. I had to pretend to like your comedy, Jericho. I had to pretend to like you. But again, a year and a half into this show, they start presenting people like they should have introduced them. I'm not saying all these people weren't there a year and a half ago, but you know what? This would have been great for MJF if he hadn't spent the past 6 months doing the dinner theater. This would be great for Tully and FTR if they hadn't already been beaten by middle schoolers and made stooges for all the rest of the, outlaw fucking indie talent that they're hired of their friends. Then they do all these things to these guys, and then they put them in something and expect it to be revolutionary, groundbreaking. Well, they look great, did the part. Tully's promo was great, MJF's promo was great. But we've seen these guys fucking with cow shit slung in their face on a regular basis for months. So they're all, who's on whose side, who's a babyface, who's a heel, who's turning on who's mad at who, what group is together. Jesus Christ. I hate to sound negative. It was great standing there, but what they've all been doing the past 6 months, now we're supposed to care about these fearsome heels getting together to run around this company. You see where I'm going with this?
I agree with you. I think that they wasted a lot of what FTR could have been right out of the gate. If you're going to do something like this, you didn't have to prolong everything with MJF and Jericho for more than half a year. That was unnecessary. You could have done this a lot quicker. I did think during this is the second time they've done this with MJF, where he pretends to be someone's friend and turns on him. They could have said they would have been Cody.
That right before they got on TV, they were doing that deal, and then when they got on TV, that's when MJF finally turned on him, showed his true colors last time.
And they rushed through the Cody MJF feud. That was over almost before it even started.
So that they could spend 6 months on going too long with MJF and Jericho.
I don't know why they teased Wardlow and MJF breaking up in the past.
Because they were going to do it, and then they realized, well, what the fuck? It's too soon. Nobody will give a shit.
And with Shawn Spears, look, I hope I'm proven wrong. Because, again, he's one of these guys that the boys themselves really like as a person, and they all talk about how great he is in the ring. But I don't know if that translates to the audience. And it doesn't translate to me so far. We've seen him with dark hair. We've seen him, I think, now with blonde hair. He doesn't look like he belongs as part of this group. He looks like he'd be kind of forced into it. To me, I think there probably either could have been better choices, or you just do FTR, Wardlow, MJF with Tully. But I guess then you couldn't do five against Jericho and his clowns.
Well, Tully would be a better. Never. I didn't get him hurt.
But the promo, I can't take anything away from big promo from Tully. Excellent promo from MJF, and yes, you did do Chris Jericho kind of too long for this to be the payoff. Could have cut these legs off a little bit earlier, and it wouldn't have been as egregious as it's been.
Wrap up the storyline. The very next match, we were talking about 10-man tag team matches. The very next match is a 10-man tag match, and whereas Jerry Jarrett was a smart enough promoter that he realized that he only had to pay 2 guys instead of 10, apparently Tony is not following that example. Matt Hardy, Private Party, and Butcher and Baker, with or without the candlestick maker, I didn't see her, against Dino Douche, Jungle Boy, Dwarf Dong Sucker, and Bear Country. 2 hairy guys out of the wrestling school. And Matt Hardy started with Dwarf Dong Sucker, and it broke into a 10-way within seconds, and I said no. I fast-forwarded it. I don't know who won. I don't know what happened. I'm sure I missed some really egregiously embarrassing wrestling action, but I couldn't. To see Matt Hardy face off with Genetic Mutant on national television hurt my heart, and I could not watch anymore. Did I miss anything?
No, I mean, this was definitely not just a bathroom break match, but a long bathroom break match. I don't know anyone who would have actually enjoyed this or why they would have. I don't know anyone who cares about Matt Hardy's group. Beyond even Marco Stunt being there, they bungled it with Jurassic Express. I feel like they're always losing. But this match, there was a whole lot of everyone selling for Marco Stunt.
Well, good, and I'm glad that I missed that. And how many times has Matt Hardy been a babyface and a heel back and forth in the last year? How many times has Private Party been babyface and heel? How many times have Butcher and Baker been babyface and heel? And how many times have we ever seen Bear Country even on television? Embarrassing. So then we go to Eddie Kingston and Jon Moxley somewhere in the back
This
in
is the
a
game,
completely
folks.
empty lime green room. And they did a pre-taped promo. Kingston is more interesting than Moxley. When Moxley is talking and Kingston's reacting to Moxley talking, he's still more interesting. But they do their deal and they play off of each other well, but this was an interview, and it took place in a completely bare lime green room. Did I miss anything?
I really didn't like this, despite loving Eddie Kingston's promos and personality. And when Moxley's on, he's a great promo, but this was too cute for me. This was too
They're
inside jokes, and I don't know if this was for them or for the audience. But I thought this promo was a mistake. It was really poorly done.
Well, and then, speaking of mistakes, what was that song they did for when poor Steve Regal, William Regal, when they decided to make him a working man with a hard hat and carrying a lunchbox?
He's a man's man.
He's a man's man. Well, poor old Christian has now apparently become the horse's horse. He's the workhorse. He's not a workhorse. He's the workhorse. He doesn't eat his oats before he's supposed to. He doesn't wander off from the work site. He pulls the wagon with no complaints. So they bring Christian out
I'm
for a
gonna finish
promo,
this picture.
and this is
Probably
what
not again.
he speaks well. He's a great worker. But this is what they're hanging their hat on that will get him over more than he is now with anybody, is that he's the workhorse. And as we've mentioned, in a context of wrestling being a sport, that makes completely no sense. Only in the context of this being a performance does the idea that he works harder than everyone make any sense. And then that doesn't make sense because you're telling people that it's a performance. You see where I'm going with this? Why does he have to be a workhorse? Why can't he be Christian, former WWE Tag Team Champion, former NWA World Heavyweight Champion, a guy who's been retired for 5, 6, 7 years, but now feels that he has one more run left? Can he do it? The Rocky Balboa story. Can the wise old veteran come back and fucking topple modern champions? He's had all these, got all these opponents he's never faced. Workhorse. Outwork everyone. Because it's a work. Because we're all fake. And this is why it's a stupid way for me to be selling myself, that I'm a worker. That's just about how Christian Cage will be presented here. Can you tell?
I don't blame you. I feel kind of the same way. It's interesting that him and the Big Show, from what I've read, they've done a couple of interviews apparently, where they both basically said, I talked to Big Khan, we had a phone call for a few hours, and I've never...
And by the way, that is a possibility, because there's a lot of talking on the other end.
And I never put a deal together this quickly and this easily. You know, these guys are all happy to be here and be getting that money from someone who has unlimited access to money right now, but I don't know. Christian, when he was an active wrestler, was very talented. I never saw him as the guy they tried to make him into in TNA. Nothing against him. I just thought he was a notch below that. Again, great in the ring, but not everyone who's great in the ring is a main eventer. And I don't know. It'll be interesting how this plays out. I hate the whole outwork everyone and I'm a great worker. I mean, that's just stupidity.
That's like a fucking card shark coming up and saying to you, I'm a great con man.
Think about it. One ex-WWE guy comes in, and he's the best man. And that's still going on, even though that wedding's over. Another guy is, I will outwork everybody. I mean, these are just such stupid ways of using these guys.
Yeah, say that wedding deal. Not only is the wedding over, but the honeymoon's over on that whole deal. We had a match come up. Kingston and Moxley against Gallows and Anderson. This big interpromotional feud they got going on with Impact. Remember what I said earlier? Every match has to have a jump start and an after. Guess what this match had?
I am the boss.
I'm waiting for you to guess.
I already know the answer.
Jump start and after.
Yeah.
Gallows and Anderson attack Kingston on the stage because Kingston's coming out by himself because his goof partner has to fucking come in from the parking lot, right? So Kingston comes out by himself and Gallows and Anderson just jump him. And then Moxley shows up. I guess he ran in from the parking lot, and they have a four-way. And I wrote another jump start and guarantee they'll have an afterbirth. They do a four-way on the floor forever. Nobody's in the ring. The heels get the heat on both the baby faces, and when they're beaten down, then the referee rings the bell. Why would he do that at that particular point, Brian Last? Because somebody saw it in the Attitude Era. Because I've come to the conclusion by watching this television program, everybody in this company, both in the ring and outside the ring, thinks the Attitude Era is what classic wrestling was and the rules were and it copied all that shit, but they do it even more often than they did this shit in the Attitude Era, which is why that it's so repetitious and boring. And they get heat on Kingston all the way to the break. So the babyface just got shut down. And considering the finish, you would have wanted to shine those babyfaces at the start, but that didn't happen. Anyway, they go through a break. They get the heat on Kingston. Finally, Kingston hit a nice little desperation suplex on Anderson, I believe. Both of them sold. Kingston's hot tag to Moxley was lousy, but that was the heel's fault because absolutely nobody was trying to stop him. Mox did his comeback. He did a dive. Then the heel stopped him, and they beat both of them up again. And suddenly, Kingston foils the finish, the double team finish on Moxley, and Moxley small packages Anderson, and immediately they go into the after. And the heels start getting some more heat, and they chase the referee off. And the referee just runs away, and no other referees come. Did you see, again, selectiveness? One time, somebody gets their face slapped, and 25 grown security guards jump in immediately to separate them. Another time, a man is being sodomized by a jackhammer with a 14-inch dildo on the end of it. Nobody comes out to help, that is. So in this case, nobody's coming to help. Here comes Harpo Fingerfuck. He's skipping, and he's snapping his fingers, and he's prancing about. And he sets a chair down in front of Moxley and sits in it, and then Kingston comes from behind and blasts him off the chair. And then they kick the shit out of Kingston. Did you see they try to get heat on Moxley by standing on his head and grabbing the ropes and making funny faces?
Yes.
So they don't even take this serious. It's just a big hoot to them. They're spending the guy's money, and it's all a joke. And they appeal to the people who want to laugh at wrestling, not with it. And then they Pillmanize Kingston's ankle in the chair. Nobody's trying to help. It's taking forever. They go to Pillmanize Moxley's throat. That would have been interesting. But out come Pieface and Baldwin, and they stop them, but they don't make a save. They just go, whoa, whoa, whoa. Because they're still trying to milk this thing where the Bucks and the Gallows and Anderson are friends, or have been friends. Are they insane? Nobody gives a flying fuck about this 5-year-old past its expiration date club horse shit that they're as bad as the Clique. They're as bad as Nash and Hall and those guys when they have their little treehouse club and their women's haters club in the boys' house. Nobody gives a fuck about their 5-year-old Bullet Club, especially in this country. The only people that even know what the fuck it was or that they were in a group together are already watching this program. Nobody else gives a shit. And if they bought the shirt, it's because they thought it had to do with guns and Hot Topic because there was no pictures or names on it. The average person is confused. Wait a minute. The Young Bucks, well, they're good guys. Why are they out here trying to talk to the bad guys and they're supposed to be friends with the bad guys? And then they argued like children with Twin Toes and the Bucks and Callis and whoever else over whether or not the Bucks were going to too sweet Kenny. They're stolen the hand signal from another group that had arrested emotional development 30 years ago. It was just so confusing. Why are they continuing to beat this Bullet Club stuff and think that anybody gets it when nobody remembers, nobody cares except the people already watching the program, and there ain't enough of those. They need to get some more. So all I know is the good guys came to the other good guys, but then the good guys and the bad guys had an argument about whether the good guys were still, which means fuck the good guys. That's a wrestling fan thinks. What do you think?
Didn't like the segment, didn't like the match. The Good Brothers have go-away heat with me. They're not good. I know you said you've liked them in the past when you've seen them.
Well, they've aged since then, I guess.
I've seen stuff with Carl Anderson in the past that was pretty good in Japan. He's never done anything in the States that has even remotely been good to me. And that team right now is just death. Gallows, I don't know if he has a blood pressure problem or what, but he turned bright red, if you notice.
He does. He may be, what was that shit? He used to be some shit that guys think is like a muscle supplement that would bring the blood to the surface of the capillaries and make you look more muscular but it would also turn you red. I don't know.
I've never been a Bullet Club guy. I know the shirts got popular. I know there were different iterations of the Bullet Club. But I just think, even though they worked in New Japan, and even though the Bullet Club was a big deal for a while, Gallows and Anderson I've said it before, they don't bring much to the table. Because they're not going to outwork anyone in the ring. They're not really especially over. And they're being jammed down everyone's throats in this Omega Callis thing.
And now, especially Gallows makes everybody else in this company look bad because they look like such fucking midgets.
Oh, I thought you were going to say just because he can't work.
No, I mean, but there's a grown man on the screen next to all these, fucking pygmies.
And the Young Bucks
just makes them look bad by standing next to them.
And the Young Bucks just can't figure out what they want to be. Are they, they're not that young. Matt Jackson's like in his mid-30s, but he's still like this young guy with angst. What is he so mad about all the fucking time?
Okay, guys, I'm gonna call it here. I hope you all enjoyed Happy Color.
And this whole stupid thing, like you said, it's always driven me nuts. It's one of the reasons why the Bullet Club has always been lame to me. And why for so long, even beyond their work, I thought the Bucks were lame when they were doing the crotch chops and too sweet. That's someone else's shit. Why don't you just go out there and hold 4 fingers up? If you're gonna steal someone's shit. It's stupid. It's not yours. What are you trying to be? The whole too sweet thing. Enough. You know what? That was legitimately Kevin Nash, Scott Hall, The Clip, Sean Waltman.
I hope you all enjoyed. Don't forget to
on the
like,
air.
comment, subscribe,
Now all
and
of a
hit the
sudden, these guys are
notification
doing it.
bell.
There's
And
no
as
history
always,
there. We saw those
I'm
guys
Hardcore
do it.
Chris.
We're cool. We're gonna do it too.
Keep
The
it
cool
hardcore.
wrestlers do this.
Bullet Club is